Hello everyone, it's Becky here. Come to the mat today to lead you through an all levels flow. And there's no need for any props today, so all you need is yourself in the mat. Let's start by beginning to find our breath on your back body. So I'm going to choose to come into constructive rest pose. You might also choose to come to Shavasana. But if you're joining me here, I've got my feet nice wide and apart and allowing the knees to tent in towards one another. Bring one hand to the heart and one to the belly, just to notice the physical body as the breath rises and falls through it. So give yourself the first moment to arrive onto the mat. Take a moment to tune in and notice what's going on inside of you. Lengthening your inhales and exhales. And with that, you might notice any sensations or emotions that bubble up to the surface with your breath. It's a great opportunity at the beginning of every practice, just to notice what you're coming to the mat with that day. Take a moment, bring your hands by your side, and we'll bring the feet to hip distance with the knees right over them. We'll start with a little bit of core work, so waking up the front and the back of the body. So let's begin by lifting the feet off the mat, and so the shins are parallel with the ceiling. So already by lifting the feet off, I started to feel a little bit of core engagement into the front of my body. So I'll spice it up a little bit by pressing my hands into knees and knees into hands. So you feel a little bit of cinching into the low belly. Continue breathing all the way down. One more breath here. I'll release my feet to the ground, right under the knees. Fingertips pointing towards the sky. Press through the feet, squeeze the glutes, lift the hips up. So we're not looking for depth and a big heart opener here. Rather, some energy into the back body. Energetically, let's imagine we're dragging our heels towards the heart, really waking up the hamstrings, strengthening through them, and starting to wake up all the muscles on your spine. We'll release the hips back down and come back to our flipped upside down tabletop. So shins parallel to the ceiling, hands onto knees. Press the knees into hands. Continue to breathe deeply here. All right, we'll release the feet back down, lifting for one more bridge. Fingertips point to the sky, press through the feet, lift the hips up. Squeeze the glute, drag those heels a little closer to the heart. And lower everything back down. Let's bring the right knee into your chest. I'm going to choose to extend my left heel long. You can also keep the sole of the foot onto the mat. Find a nice area to bring that knee a little closer to you. So it might even be a bit wider than your torso. This is wind removing pose. Let's bring the fingertips behind the knee. Start extending the heel towards the ceiling. So the leg doesn't need to go straight, but it's starting to open up the backs of your legs and send a lot of breath there. And also bring some movement into the ankle, pointing the toes away from me, flexing them back towards, maybe a little circling into the ankle side to side. Anything that feels nice and natural for you. All right, slowing down this movement in the ankle. I'll release the hands. So finding a lot of core work to keep the leg extended. I'm going to take the count of 5 to lower the heel. For 4, 3, 2, and 1. Pause for a moment, just notice any differences between the right and left side. And we'll head over to the left side. Let's bring that knee into chest, clasp the hands around the side where it feels nice to pull it really close to you. So we're bringing a little compression into the hip, which is inviting some fresh new blood flow into the circulating area. Fingertips switch their grip, bring it behind the knee. Extend the heel upwards so you're flexing the toes back towards your shin. Lots of breath into the back of the leg where it's starting to open up. And once again, bring any of those movements back into the ankle and the toes. Slowing that movement down. Find that engagement into the low belly. Release the hands by your side, and we'll lower for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Both knees gather into the chest. Wrap your arms around. Give yourself a little hug. And we're going to rock up and down on the spine or press with the hand to come all the way up. And we'll come forwards to a tabletop position. Hands and knees. So stacking your hands right under the shoulders, knees under hips. Bring a little bit of cat and cow into the practice, really warming up and waking up the spine. Inhale, send the heart forwards and up. Tailbone rises as your belly drops. Exhale, press the mat away, really rounding through the spine. Inhale's pulling the heart forwards. And exhale to round. Continue on a few more times. Let that breath lead the movement. Let's come back to a neutral spine. And widen the knees a little bit more, bringing the big toes to touch. Keep the left palm really firm under the left shoulder. We're gonna reach the right arm forwards ahead of you. Start breathing in. Reach all the way up to the sky. It starts opening your chest up. And as you exhale, start sending your hips to the heels, reaching back behind you. Next, inhale, reach the arm forwards. Sweep that arm up. As you exhale, hips draw back, making a big circle. So do this a couple more times. Really rotating that arm right through the shoulder. One more. As you come back through center, let's reach that arm all the way back up to the sky, finding a big twist, a big extension through that heart. And we'll take that length with us. Scoop that arm underneath. We'll come into a twist here. So the back of the arm finds the ground and even your right ear. You can keep your left hand right by your face for support. Walk the hand a little further ahead, or perhaps add on to the twist by bringing the left hand all the way to the right hip. Just make sure you feel supported through the neck and through the shoulder. If your left hand has moved, we'll bring it back to support you. Press through the palm, peel the right arm back to the sky, breathing in. And exhale back under your shoulder. All right, resetting for the other side. Inhale, reach the left fingertips forwards. Start rotating, opening the heart up. And exhale, sinking the hips back. Inhale, reaching forwards, opening up the heart. Exhale, back behind you. Inhale to reach forwards. Big rotation. Last round. Good, nice big breath in. Continue reaching forwards and up. Pause in this big open space here. And take this length. We'll scoop all the way underneath, coming onto the back of the left arm and the left ear. Choose once again where you'd like to stay supported. Perhaps the right hand reaches for left hip. Bringing that right palm back to the earth, press through it, peel the left arm up, breathing in, and exhale back to your tabletop. Let's bring the knees back under the hips, tuck the toes underneath, press the mat away, hovering the knees off the mat. So once again, really waking up through the core, all the muscles on your back, all the muscles in your front. And now we'll press the hips up and back to your downward facing dog. Take a moment, warm up the legs, warm up the hips, swivel into them, pedal the feet. And I'm gonna really roll my spine as I do this. So pull with your hands, we're gonna bring your shoulders over wrists into plank pose. And press the mat away, hips rise to downward facing dog. So let's try to roll through the spine here. Each vertebrae rolling forwards, landing in plank. Press the hips up and back, rolling back to down dog. Good, this time we'll flow. Roll forwards to plank pose. Pause for a moment. You can always lower the knees down, but keep a lot of breath flowing. One more breath, holding in stillness. And exhale, lower down to your stomach. Untuck the toes and widen the fingers a little bit wider than the mat, tenting into the hands. 3 baby cobras. Inhale, peel the heart up. Exhale, roll back down. Inhale to lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale. Exhale, hands come under the shoulders, press through hands and knees, rise to your table, bring your hips to heels in child's pose. Let your head be heavy and arms reaching forwards. Pull with the hands, we'll come back up to tabletop. Tuck the toes underneath, hover the knees off the mat. And we'll press all the way to downward facing dog. So widen the feet as wide as the mat and let the toes point out slightly. We're gonna start walking the hands backwards as you bring a bend into the knees, sending your hips down into Malasana, our squat. So bring the palms to touch and press the knees away and elbows press into knees. As you press the palms together, try to find a lift through the spine and the heart. Both hands reach down straight below you. Press the hips back to the sky and heel toe your feet back into hip distance. Bring a soft bend into the knees, clasp opposite elbows, and find a little sway here from left to right. As you release the hands back down, inhale, halfway lift the spine. Exhale to float back forwards. Press through your feet, lift the arms all the way to stand. Exhale, hands come down beside you. Let's do that again. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hinging forwards. Halfway lift as you breathe in. As you breathe out, touch the ground and walk back forwards to downward facing dog. All right, now we'll inchworm our way to the front. Look forwards towards the hands. Tiptoe to meet them. Find this forward fold once again. Clasping opposite elbows, soft bend in the knees, gentle sway from side to side. And release the hands back down. Inhale, press the hands into the legs, halfway lift. Exhale to lower. Press through the feet, lift the palms all the way up overhead. And exhale, hands come down beside you. Let's do a Surya Namaskar A together. Inhale, float the arms up. Exhale from the waist, folding forwards. Inhale, halfway lift the heart. Exhale, plant the hands down, step back to plank, or you can jump through to chaturanga. Find your flow either coming down to the belly or through chaturanga. Inhale through your back bend of choice. And exhale to take the hips up and back to downward facing dog. We're gonna pause here for 4 breaths. Let's really focus on grounding here. So sharing the weight between the finger pads, the knuckles, and the whole palm. Pressing those hips rather high. Good. On your next exhale, take a look forwards. Bend into the knees. Spring or step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift the heart. Exhale, float back forwards. Press through the feet, lift the hands all the way up overhead. And exhale, hands come down beside you. Let's add on. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, folding forwards. Halfway lift the heart. Touch the earth. Flow responsibly, so stepping to plank or jumping to chaturanga. Inhale, back bend of choice. And exhale to downward facing dog. Let's inhale, lift the right leg behind you. Bring the knee towards the nose, really round the spine, and step forwards between the hands. You're gonna keep the left palm grounded. Peel the right arm up. So remembering those nice big circles we did before. Reach nice and tall with your right fingertips and bring the gaze and fingertips behind you. Inhale, sweep the arm forwards and up. Exhale, rotating behind. 2 more. Let the head follow the fingers. Good, so let's reach back forwards and up, landing back into this low lunge. So again, getting a little bit lighter on the bottom hand, perhaps tenting to the fingers. Reach a little bit taller with the right arm, and it might bring you all the way up to stand. Otherwise, you can square your shoulders and then come up to stand. Maybe you're looking at the right side or all the way to your right thumb. Next, inhale, reach both arms up to high lunge, and exhale, we'll open to warrior two. Settle into your warrior two legs. Big bend into the right knee, right over the ankle. Pinky toe side of your back foot is pressing firmly into the mat. Reach those arms out, gazing over the front fingers. Let's bring it straighten into your front leg. Reach forwards while you send your hips behind you. Pivoting into our triangle pose. So you can find any support for that bottom hand, whether it's the back of the hand into the leg. Reach tall through the top arm as well. And find lots of length on both sides of your body. Now have a little check-in with your knee. If you need a little bit of a bend in that knee, you can bring a bit of engagement there. So if you feel a little more secure into that joint. And we're going to transition from our triangle to extended side angle. So we will bring a bend into that knee. And the fingertips might stay down by the ankle, or you can prop yourself up onto your thighs. Bring the top arm all the way by your ear, reaching to the top of the mat. Find a lift through the top arm. It lifts you back to warrior two. And we'll find a reverse of this shape. Left hand skis down the back leg, flip the right palms, reaching up. And both hands come down to frame your front foot. Let's step back either to down dog and hold there, or step back to plank for a flow. You decide. And we'll move on from our downward facing dog. Inhale, float the left leg behind you. Bring the knee to nose and step forwards. Right palm this time stays glued below the shoulder. Peel the left arm to the sky. Good, we'll add in this flow. Reach the hand back behind you and sweep it back forward. Start inhaling as you reach forwards and lifting up. Exhale as it rotates behind. Two more. Nice big breaths, big rotations. All right, we'll pass through the front part, lift through the left fingertips, lift a little taller, tent into the right hand, feel secure into the feet, and maybe it pulls you all the way up to stand. All right, so you can continue looking to the left or to the left thumb. Next, inhale, reaches both arms up, high lunge. Exhale into a warrior two. Settle into the feet, feel grounded, rooted through them, light and powerful through the upper half. And we'll turn this into a triangle pose, straighten the front leg. Reach forward, send your hips behind you. Pivoting down and reaching through the top arm. Gonna try to stand that left hip underneath of you. Reach a little taller through the top arm. And we'll invite a big bend into your front knee. Choosing any variation you like, reach that right arm right by your ear. Press through the feet, lift through the top arm to bring you back up to warrior two. Pass through it as you reverse your warrior, reaching up. Both hands come down to frame your front foot. Your choice, stepping to down dog or plank for a flow. Let's take a look forwards. We're gonna step wider than our hands and set our hips back down for Malasana. So right foot steps to the pinky toe side, left foot steps to the pinky side. Send your hips down, hands find your heart center. Press the palms together to lift the heart. Drop your fingertips right below you, send your hips back up. Heel toe to bring your feet to hip distance. We'll find a nice deep forward fold here, Padangustasana. Bend into the knees so much that you can take your peace fingers and your thumb, wrap them around your big toes, let your crown be heavy. And once you find this connection, You can decide how bent the knees would like to be or how straight they'd like to be. Send your elbows out to the side if they are bent, and try to relax your shoulders. Release the bind. Inhale, halfway lift the heart. Exhale, lower back down. Press through the feet, lift the hands all the way up. And exhale, hands come down beside you. All right. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale to float forwards. Halfway lift, breathing in. Touch the earth, breathing out. Find your flow, or stepping straight to downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg lifts behind you. Exhale, bring it forwards to step between the hands. Now we'll keep the chest low. Stay firm in the feet. We're just going to sweep the arms behind you, gathering the shoulder blades together in runner's lunge. Pause here. Let a little bit of fire start building in that front standing leg. Now continuing to wake up the core, wake up our shoulders. Let's stay low where we are, only moving the arms. Inhale, reach the arms forwards. Exhale, back behind. Inhale, reach them forwards. Exhale, back behind. Inhale. And exhale. This one will let it lift us all the way up to stand. And exhale, open up to the long edge of the mat. And both toes will point out slightly on an angle, sending the heels in. Let's bring a bend into the knees into our goddess squat. Knees are tracking in the same direction as the toes. Squeeze the glutes to try to bring them back over the toes. So reach the arms out from side to side, finding your goddess. Stay really tall through the crown. And we'll find a little shimmy in this side. So let's place the hands to the inner thighs, lean forwards, find a long spine. Send one shoulder forwards at a time. So you're finding a little bit of traction into the spine as well as into the hips. Good. We'll press through the feet, stand back up, and this time your toes will switch so they're facing forwards. Place your hands to your waist. Let's grow a little taller through the spine and hinging over the legs. Let your crown drop down, hands drop below you, and you can either clasp opposite elbows or use the stickiness of your mat to walk the hands further back to lower your head closer to the mat. Bring the fingertips back forwards where you can see them. Inhale, press through the feet, halfway lift, hands find your waist. Exhale, come up to stand. Send your right toes back to the top of the mat, bend into your warrior two legs, and we'll travel down from here. Frame your front foot to decide if you're flowing or pressing straight to downward facing dog. Inhale to lift the left leg behind you. Knee comes to the nose and plants forwards. Keep the chest low. Arms reach behind you. Gather the shoulders together. Runner's lunge. All right, working with our breath, continuing to fan the flames. Inhale, reach the arms forwards. Exhale, back behind you. Inhale. And exhale. Two more like this. Good. Next inhale lifts you up, high lunge. Exhale, toes shift to the long edge of the mat. So once again, setting up for a goddess. Toes point out, bend into the knees, reach the arms out. This side, we'll find a little pulse. Every exhale, bend a little bit deeper into the knees, squeeze the glutes. Inhale to release. Exhale, lowering down. Inhale. Two more. Good. I'll release the legs and the arms. Send the toes straight forwards. And I'll bring the hands behind the back this time. Clasp them together. Draw the shoulder blades together, lifting the heart. Take that length as you fold forwards over your legs. Your arms might come with you. They might stay a little bit closer to the back. To come out of this one, bring the hands back to the low back, rise it through the crown. Release your hands and send your left toe back to the top. Bend into your knee. Hands travel down. Decide if you want to flow or press straight to downward facing dog. Gaze comes forwards. We're going to step forwards to the top of the mat. I'll start stepping with my left foot to the pinky side of my left hand. Right foot to the pinky side of my right hand. Bend into the knees. Finding your squat malasana. Press the palms, lift the heart. Bring the fingertips down. Press through them to lift the hips up. Heel toe the feet back to hip distance. We'll come into one more forward fold. So the one I'm going to come into is Padahastasana. So you'll take the hands and thread them all the way underneath the feet. So bring a big bend into them to find this clasp. The toes are right into the wrist creases. You can bring a little bit of a massage into the hands as well by wiggling the toes. Drop your head down, and once again, you just choose how much you'd like to straighten your legs or to keep them bent. Slowly release my hands. Inhale, press the hands to the legs, halfway lift. Exhale to float back forwards. Press through the feet, rise through the fingertips. And exhale, hands come down beside you. All right. Let's find a little balance. I'm gonna move into about the center of my mat for this one. And let's begin rounding through the left foot, getting light onto the right toes. I'm gonna bring that right knee all the way into my chest, just as I started in my wind removing pose. Grow some roots through your bottom standing foot so you can grow a little taller through the crown. Now at any point you can just pause and stay where you are, focus on your balance. Otherwise you can stay here or bring the hands behind the knee and begin kicking through the heel. Good, so once again, it may be straight, might not be straight. Feel that power in the quad, mine's starting to shake a little bit. Find that core engagement. I'm gonna release my hands up overhead. Keep kicking through that heel and slowly lower it down. Shifting weight to the right foot. Get light onto the left toes. Bring a big bend as that knee. Hug it into your chest. Grow tall through the crown. Find a focal point ahead. And hands come behind the knee. Begin extending the heel forwards any amount. Stay nice and tall. Now, focus on the quad, focus on your core. Keep that engaged as you release the hands up, victory pose. And slowly lower it down as well. Back to the top of the mat. Take a little flow and move things down. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale to fold. Lift and lengthen as you breathe in. Touch the earth as you breathe out, flowing to down dog or pressing straight there. All right, so I'm gonna inhale, roll forwards to plank, pause in my plank. For any of this, you can lower the knees down, but imagine my hand is between your shoulder blades, puff up through that area, breathe nice and deeply into it. We're gonna be here for 2 more breaths. Final round. Lowering down to the forearm, right forearm drops, left forearm drops. Stay nice and tall. Breathe into the space between the shoulders. Second last breath. Final round. And from here, sink the hips to the ground, landing into your Sphinx pose. Untuck the toes, elbows are right under the shoulders. Find a little bit of engagement into the hands, pulling energetically the fingertips towards yourself and send the heart forwards. Keep the tops of the feet pressing into the mat and legs and glutes engaged. And I'll gently lower down for a moment. Place one ear to the mat or the forehead onto the palms. Bring the forehead back forward. Arms will reach behind. Point the toes, roll the shoulders back. Find a little bit of a lift through the heart and maybe the toes as well. Focus on length rather than a lift here. In locust pose. As you breathe, you might notice a little rocking happening. And lower back down. Place the other ear to the mat, or once again, little pillow for the forehead. Bringing your attention back forwards, and we'll come back into our Sphinx shape. So forearms to the ground, elbows below the shoulders. All right, let's tuck the toes underneath. Press through the forearms, lift the hips up in line, so you're back in your forearm plank. Take a couple breaths here. All right, we'll press up to plank now. Right hand finds the ground, left hand all the way up. Pause for 2 breaths. Hips press up and back to downward facing dog. Good. Let's lift the right leg behind you. We're going to step to the pinky side of your right hand, so a little bit wider, and lower that back knee down. Now, if you do have sensitive knees, you can always place a little blanket or towel below it, or even fold the mat in 2 to give it a little bit extra cushion. I'm going to allow my right toes to point out slightly here. I'm going to lower down any amount. So if you do have books or anything that you can bring the mat a little closer to, you can always place those below. But I'm going to come all the way down to my forearm here. Letting my knee fall out away from me slightly. And over time, this pose will deepen a little bit with breath. I'm going to come back up onto my palms and bring my left palm just a little bit wider than the shoulder. If your right toes weren't already turned out, just point them out for a moment. Take the right palm, you're just pressing very lightly onto the inner right thigh to open up the chest. Let's bring both hands back down. Tuck the back toes to lift the knee. We're going to sweep back to our downward facing dog. Pedal the feet out, or if you'd like to cycle through with a flow, you can do that as well. Next breath in, left leg lifts. I'm going to step that wider than my left hand to the pinky sides and lower my back knee down. Good. So once again, I'll turn that toe out slightly. Decide on a depth I'd like to come down to. So you can stay right onto the palms or explore a different territory. Just find a depth that you can stay in, allowing it to open up a little bit more as you breathe and stay here. Rising back up, placing my palms to the mat, right hand's a little wider than the shoulder. Left toes are pointed out, lifting the heart up, and a very gentle amount of pressure just to open up the spine, looking to the left. Bringing both hands back down to the mat, tuck the back toes under, lift the knee up, step to down dog. Rinse this out any way you like, so pedaling through the legs, working through a flow, anything that suits you. I'm going to take a look forward, step or hop through to a seat. Right. We're going to come right down to your back body. So if there's any, we've got a couple more poses, but then we're going to move into stillness afterwards. So if you'd like to bring any blankets or anything comfortable, you can just keep them close to you. Otherwise, my toes touch the top of the mat. Lots of room behind me. Offer something forwards for a friend. Very slowly finding the work down to your back body. Let's bring your feet nice and close to you. We did lots of bridges earlier that were flowing and holding. And so I'm going to do a flowing variation to finish it off. So Press through the feet with the breath. Inhale, press the hips up, lift the arms, tap the fingertips behind. Exhale, lower everything down. Inhale, sweep it up. Exhale, lower down. One more flowing. As your hands lower down, keep your hands down on this next one, and we're gonna hold this next one. So press through the feet, lift the hips up. Maybe you roll the shoulders under to get a little higher into your back bend. Palms might clasp together. Once again, energetically, let's focus on dragging the heels towards the heart. Squeeze the glutes to send the hips high and the heart towards the back of your mat. I'm gonna unlace my hands, roll back down, and bring both knees into my chest, wrapping my arms around. All right, let's bring a cactus shape or a T shape into the arms, and we're gonna knock the knees both over to the right side together. Take a moment, just take a look over your left shoulder, and settle in for a few breaths. Lift the knees back up through center and head the other way. Dropping the knees to the left, look over to the right. Lift everything back up. If there's any final movements you'd like to take, now would be the time. And I'm going to set up for my final shape, Shavasana, by extending my heels nice and long onto the mat. Palms up by my side, allowing my shoulders to be flat. Natural breathing rhythm coming back. Trying to feel a little bit heavier, releasing a little bit deeper with every breath. Begin deepening your breath once again. Start inviting small and familiar movements into the hands and feet. Reaching your arms overhead, stretch your toes away from you. And rolling over to one side. And pressing up to a seat. Palms come to touch at heart center. Thank you for coming to your mat today. Being present with yourself, moving and breathing through this practice. I hope to see you again soon in person. Until then, namaste.